I'm waiting on a couple pieces for the wiring, so I'm going to shift my attention to the suspension. I've ordered all new leaf springs, new equalizers, and new suspension pivot bolt kit. The kit that I ordered replaces the factory ones that go in between here and have a nylon bushing that always wears out. They're also very thin. This is typically what happens. It'll end up wearing the plate out and becomes very loose and sloppy, and then when it gets loose, it just moves around in the leaf spring, ruins the leaf spring after it ruins the bushing. So I chose to go with the Ride wet bolt upgrade kit. So instead of having a nylon insert, you have a bronze bushing. So the bronze bushing will last longer for sure, but also the bolt's called a wet bolt kit because it's drilled and it's ported for grease. So it won't be a problem. And you can see how these shackles are 3 times the thickness, 2 or 3 times the thickness of the El Cheapo stuff that comes on most of these trailers. So that's a good look at the bushing. That's what I'm going to use. So we're going to assemble that. So every pivot bushing on here will be our pivot bolt will be a wet bolt with a bronze bushing. So that'll be in here. These nylon bushings will push out. We'll put the bronze ones into them. We don't want to use the nylon at all. So the leaf spring gets mounted up here. It doesn't get a shackle. The shackles are used, the equalizer's put here, and then the shackles come from the equalizer up. We'll show you in a minute, but we're gonna get going on that. I don't have U-bolts yet. I thought I had enough new U-bolts. I don't, so I just ordered them. So we'll have those coming too. Just a 12mm socket from Snap-on. Drives them out real quick. We'll set them aside for something else. Maybe somebody else can use them. I'm using a brass hammer to drive them in, get them straight. Even on both sides. So same thing with the equalizers. They got the nylon bushings, and the kit comes, each equalizer needs 3 bolts. Kit comes with 3 bushings and 3 bolts. So we'll drive these out as well and replace them with the bronze bushings. This is a very, very simple thing to do. I mean, it is as easy as it looks. I'm using a brass hammer, so I'm not damaging anything. This is very, very quick. I'm just using a block of wood here, so when I drive this in, it hits the wood and stops, even though they're made the perfect length, so they don't stick out either way. One more to go. Get that out. She's done, ready to go. Okay, equalizer goes in. Not directional. I want the grease fitting to be out, so put it in like that. Now there's knurls on the end of that keep it from spinning inside this hole, because if it could spin, it would waller this hole out. So I don't want to break that grease fitting. We'll put a wrench on this when we tighten it up, but I just want to get it started. Almost there. It's there. Okay, then we'll put back. We'll tighten everything up at the same time. And these are locking nuts too. You can see they're a flange nut. You see how they're kind of ovaled? So they're a one-time use. They're meant to go on one time. You take them off, you need to replace them. Okay, now we'll do the first shackle and the first leaf spring. So these are supposed to go up like this. Actually, I think we're going to do the leaf springs and the eyelets next. Leaf springs need to go in here. Bolt through. The only question I have is if my tire is going to be in here, if I'm going to have room to get that grease fitting, or if I need to reverse it. I better measure the tire real quick. So the tire's going to cover that. Let's see, the axle's going to be down here. No, the axle will be up here because it's an oversprung or undersprung. So maybe I should put these in the other way so I can get to them easier from the back. I'm going to look at that again. Okay, so there's a little bit of an issue. You see this one's straight up and down. This one's leaning back when the equalizer is level. The reason that is when I was checking my fenders and I was checking from front to back, I got the same measurement to every point here and it was square. But I didn't check from center point to center point and center point to center point. This is supposed to be 29.5 inches, center to center. It's 29. From here to here is supposed to be 29.5. So because we're short a ½ inch here, they've fudged it here, so it's 30. So going down the road now to be equal pressure, it's not going to hurt anything. It just sucks. Because instead of having these virtually at this angle, both of them tilting about the same, this one's going to tilt back slightly more because this is off. My center line is correct. My fenders are correct. I'm correct to the front of the tongue. It's just when they did this, they probably cut these too long. And, you know, they couldn't take this up the ½ inch it needed to go. Oversight on my part. I'm just going to have to live with it. So, again, a good reason why I'm not buying any used trailers again. I'm just going to build my own because all the inconsistencies and screwed up crap just sucks. So I've decided I'm going to take it in this way from the back because then at least you don't have to take tires off to grease it. And I'll make sure that that grease hole is in the side and not on the top, because if it's on, see, is that right, on the top, it'd be pushing, yeah, the load would be pushing up. I don't want to have to jack this up to grease it, because if it was like this and the bushing was pushing down hard, let's see, it would be pushing this side. If it was down like this and the bushing was up against it, you couldn't get any grease. So if it was like this and they were hanging, you had it jacked up, you couldn't get any grease. So if you go this way, it'd be pulling on this side, but not that side. So I'm going to put it this way. So in most situations, I'll be able to get the grease. Got some paint in this side. It's pretty tight. The other thing I like about this is the bolt is shouldered, so you can't go too far. It'll come just up to the edge of here and not let you crush the hanger, because it'll stop right here, and that's right flush with the outside of the hanger when it's tight. So I'm going to swap these around. There's no need to over tighten this because Moride wants these torqued to 50 foot-pounds. So we're going to go through and tighten them all up. Wow, that got changed. this so it can't move. I've driven all these into the knurls, into the hanger already. And this doesn't matter because you can flip these up. They'll be just fine. Okay, I'll go do the same thing for the other side, and then we can slide the axles in. This world is so aggravating. I started looking for just beams. All I wanted to do is replace these beams, and that's what this is. This one with no hubs on it, that's called a beam. It comes with your spring perches welded on, the brackets for the brake backing plates are on, and the spindles are on, and that's it. That is a beam, and the best deal I could find for those beams was $330 each, plus sales tax. That was shipping, but no sales tax. So $330, that'd be $660, and then the sales tax on that would be roughly, put me right at $700, or just under $700, right in that area. So I started looking at what's called a full dress brake axle, and a full dress brake axle is going to come with things I don't need. I don't need leaf springs. I don't need backing plates. I got brand new backing plates. I don't need hub drums because I have brand new drums to go on. But I started looking at the price. You know, here's my stuff that's been sitting here waiting to go on. All that's new stuff. So I started looking at prices, and the company that was $660 plus tax, like I said, just be right around $700. I have no idea what brand axle it was because they don't list it. I'm sure it's whatever supplier had the best deal at that time, and that's what they have. So I have no idea who it was, and I was able to buy these. These are Dexters, and they're in the capacity that I want, which is 3500s, and the right measurement that I want. Of course, they're full dress and they're brake axles, so they have leaf springs, which I don't need. They had backing plates, which I don't need. They come with 5 on 4.5 hubs that I can't use because I'm 5 on 5. These are 5 on 4.5. So, but these I was able to get for $840. So at $840, it cost me $140 more, but it gives me everything to take my other two axles and build another trailer or two, or sell them as full dress brake axles. And then I have two new matching axles that I know are perfect and right. So the axles are in, and when you put axles in, they are directional. There is a left-hand side and a right-hand side, and it's usually pretty easy to tell if it's a brake axle because you'll see here it's got a wire that comes out of the back side. That's usually always the back, and then the reason for that is the way that these work. They have an arm that works with a magnet. So this magnet, when you put electric to it, it grabs on the face of this drum right here. So when you put power to that magnet, it pulls this way. When it pulls this way, you'll see it spreads the brake shoes, and that's what applies the brakes. And you can see here, this is the right-hand side. So this arm would be in front of the axle, and typically you'll see the wire coming out the back side, back behind the axle towards the rear of the trailer. I don't know if that says Dexter right or left on there or not, I don't remember. But anyways, we're going to have to swap them out. We need these hubs. So we're just going to take the hubs off of these and just go ahead and swap them over and put them on these axles here. I got the drum hub off. There's a new one we're getting ready to go. If you can see right here where it says right-hand side, and that is the passenger side of the trailer. They don't put much for brakes on these things at all. You know, lining's real thin, so you don't get a ton of miles out of them, that's for sure. But we're gonna get the bearings, new bearings in. He's got new races already. We're just gonna take the old hubs, clean them up a little bit, clean up the spindle, get it ready to go, and reassemble these so they'll be protected by having the hubs on. I guess I should put the brakes on too. Okay, the right bearings. usually pretty standard, but it always pays to double check just to be sure. Okay, so now we can just pack these bearings, get everything ready to go, and put it in. Grease on the inside of that seal. Okay. These are easy lube hubs, so there's a cavity in here that's going to have plenty of room for grease. I don't need to over grease this. Till it's snug. I'll back off 1/4 turn, or actually I'll go half. Spin it, snug it up again, and back it off just a little. Let's see where the cage is going to fit. So the cage uses this flat spot, and these grab the corners. So the flat spot grabs here, the corners grab here, and keep the two from moving. You can see I need to go a little bit looser. I want it seated all the way around. Check for end play. I'm happy with that. This is the dust seal that goes on it, and it has a cap in the end that's removable, so you know periodically you can get to this grease fitting right here and give it a couple squirts of grease before a trip or something. It does not replace maintenance, it just it's a little extra added, especially if you're in water or something. Make sure she's seated. Put your cat back in. And sometimes these will bulge out a little bit just from the heat of the grease that's in there. That's why I don't want to put too much grease, but one down, we're ready to go. So I ran my electric on the passenger side, and since I did, it's not traditional. Traditionally, it's on the driver's side over there. Well, since I'm going to run on this side, I took advantage of the situation, and I'm just going to cut this apart and redo Dexter's connections, because what you're going to find under here is nothing more than a barrel crimp, and that end's not even sealed. It's open. I don't know if that'll show up or not, but it's open to the end, so we're just going to take advantage. We'll cut this crap out, and we'll do it our way. So there's a better look. It's just a barrel connector, no solder or anything, and a heat shrink run over it, which, as you can see, I just pulled the heat shrink off. Came off pretty easy. So I took the afternoon to go ahead and drive out all of the old races out of these hubs, and I put new races in, new bearings, packed the bearings, and I put new seals in them. So these hubs are ready to go on. And I've got the other hubs swapped out on the trailer. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put all my backing plates on these, so that these can be completely assembled and I don't have to worry about dust and dirt getting into all of the bearings. Now these are going to go on the trailer. I just painted the hubs, so we'll wait for them to dry, and then we can start assembling the spare tire mount up here. The next thing to do is to tie the electric brakes into the backing plates. So they're going to come up like this, and I'll have one junction here, and then I need to come up to the front one as well. But I don't want this wire just kind of hanging down like you traditionally do. It'd be underneath here, just hanging in the breeze and getting crap all over it. So we're gonna put it up in here, shove it up against this, and when I put the wood deck on, I'm just gonna cut a notch here that will hold that right where I want it. And then it'll come up here like this, and then I'll continue with the next one the same way. Now that all the soldering is done for the trailer brakes, we're gonna move on to putting the spindles on for the spare tire. I've got them painted and ready to go, so we're gonna start mounting this all up and get the hubs on. So I taped all this off so I wouldn't have tape where all the bearings ride and where the seal rides. I didn't want any paint to get through, so I may have probably slightly overboard on the paint, maybe, I don't know.
No, I can't believe that. I couldn't imagine you going overboard on anything.
2-year trailer build. Need I say more?
Nope.
I don't want to run the razor across the sealing surface, create an edge to ruin my seal. I keep telling myself I'm keeping this trailer forever because how much work I got into it, you know.
You're probably gonna have to.
You know. Well, I seriously doubt I'd get I'll never get my time back out of it, that's for sure, but if we kept it forever, I don't really care about that. But as far as the cost, I think I'm gonna do I'll probably do the final thing and how much money I spent. Maybe that'll help people to decide if it's something they want to do for themselves or not. The last time I looked, I was still under what a basic trailer like this would cost. Like if you just bought a 7x18 trailer, I'm still below that cost. Paint bleed through right there. Got it. So that isn't bad. If all I'm out is my labor with all the work we did as far as cost goes, that's okay. So these axles, these hubs, I've already put new races, new bearings, new seals in them. So they will be completely ready to go in the event of a bearing failure. These are the old hubs from the original axles. This spindle happens to be a cotter pin type. The ones that are on these axles are the cage type, and the difference is this down here. You either have a cotter pin that goes to the end of the spindle and then locks in this castle nut, or you have a cage that snaps over. So our new axles have the cage style, like this. The old axles have...
Hold your hand still, I'm trying to...
The old axles have, one has a cage style, the other one has a cotter pin style. So I snug it up, I spin it a few times all the way around, both ways. Back it off about, they say a quarter turn, but I always find this just too loose. I just never really cared for that. I'm happy with that. These spindles, these particular ones, they didn't offset the grease fitting in the port, so this has to go around it. So you're going to come in here and it's going to go like this and come down this way. It's kind of a crappy design, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it. Like that, and then you just bend them over. And that's what's going to keep it. Now, for us, since this is a spare, I don't really want to bend this over in my way. I still need to go get the grease gun on. Okay, then you put your dust cap on. I have these new inserts because these things dry out and then they let grease leak out of here. So now this is ready for the spare tire, except for I need grip tape for in here that I haven't got yet. But that's gonna be our spare tire mount. So now I'll go do the other side. I was gonna use grip tape behind my tire, but I came across this neoprene rubber that I could order. It's sticky back. It's meant for wet locations. So I thought I'd do that instead, so I didn't have that grip tape working on the inside of the sidewall, and I ordered in 2-inch strip, so I think that's going to work okay. Kind of bums me out. Look at that. Brand new axle and the thing is dented. Pretty common. This drum had been replaced. It wasn't that old, and it had almost no wear on it. Like, it might look rusty, but that one's gonna look like this in a week or two after it's outside. So we're good. Let's get some tires on. Didn't know this day was coming. Thought it was going to be here forever.
Well, we can't be taking up this garage bay forever, so.
No, because I've got bigger, more important things to do, but I wasn't stopping on this because, you know, that just means I'll have to revisit it later.
Yeah, whenever you stop something, it's so much harder to go back to it because there's a million other things to do.
Yeah, I get comments every now and again, and people are like, "Ah, you never finish this, you never finish that." Yeah, well, life gets in the way, and so do other things. So
Yeah, I mean, they don't
when
understand.
I pull something out, and I didn't get it finished for whatever reason, something happened, I had to move to something else. It gets outside, it gets behind other stuff, and then other stuff has to be moved to get back to it, and then it's just not a priority anymore. So it is what it is.
I don't think the average person has as many projects to get done as you do, so it's overwhelming and hard to juggle them all.
Well, I mean, it'd be different too if I was just throwing this stuff together. But,
Right.
you know, I'm trying to make it where I don't have to touch it ever again. I need my never sees over there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to do maintenance on things. It's that I want maintenance to be the only thing I have to do because I have so much to do. Like, I'm gonna have to get rid of trucks because I have more trucks than I'll be able to get done in my lifetime. You know? And if I plan on taking that side by side and enjoying it, I'm certainly gonna have to get rid of some trucks because that takes time away from that. I will say this, I don't think I will ever buy another used trailer to modify like this. Of course, this didn't start off to be modified.
No.
It started off just to fix it and have something to use, but
Isn't that what they
That
all
just-
start out as?
yeah. It's funny how people can point that out, that, you know, it's just not my way, and you just don't think about it. You don't. I honestly went into this with the intentions of repairing what needed to be done, blast it, paint it, throw a new deck on it, and use it. But everything else, it snowballed, and then you get a case of the, well, might as wells, and well, you're going this far, you might as well do this, or you might as well do that. Next thing you know, it's 2 years later, which several people have pointed that out.
Well,
Maybe
you
2
know,
years.
whatever. Well, he obviously got the lug nuts on. I got a call on my phone, so I couldn't show that part.
I've had people comment several times about my what they call my scrap pile. This is like my odds and ends of steel pile, and stuff goes in here, and I pilfer through this a lot and grab steel. And sometimes I keep some stuff, like I got some round pipe over there, I got some drive shafts over here, and you know, for what I do, it works. Saves me a lot of time and a lot of money chasing down stuff, and today's no different. I need to make a relief for those axles to go into, so I had this old drive shaft. I'd cut the yoke off for something else that I needed, so I still had the drive shaft section, so I just cut off the pieces I need, and you know, it's good, solid, heavy drive shaft material, and the best part about it is it's free. Didn't cost me anything. So for what I do, having this stuff lay around may not be ideal to a lot of people, but it works for me. I don't know how many times I've said this during this project, but I will never buy an inexpensive trailer again to rebuild. Never. Because I have spent so much time rebuilding, trying to overcome horrible things, quality, poor quality, lack of craftsmanship, just wrong. And at this point in the game, I should really be just slap it together. I'm done. Just, it should be bing, bang, boom. It's over. But you know, I missed something. I missed this completely. If you look at this cross member here, you can see how the leg of the cross member comes straight down. This part right here comes down, and it clears that spring perch right there. It comes right down beside it. So when the axle comes up, it'll ride right next to it like this, right? So it's going to come like this next to it. And on this side, well, that's not the case. On this side, it is so close to this U-bolt right here that when this axle travels up, it's actually going to hit the spring perch right here on this axle, or on this cross member. And I missed this completely, but you can see here and here where it was hitting before. So the significance of this is we have an inch, just under about 1 3/16 in here, but I have almost 3 inches of travel to go before the U-bolts hit the bottom of the frame. So it doesn't seem like a big deal, like it would just stop it, but the reality is if you take this axle and you stop it at its travel this is 1 3/16. Our travel's is 3 inches. So what is that? That is 16ths would be 13/16, 1 13/16 short. You're stopping it 1 13/16 before that, which means, and it's coming to an abrupt stop. It's not like the springs are taking all that load. So when you hit that abrupt stop, the likeliness you're going to bend this axle in this area is extremely high. So this has to be remedied. We can't leave it like that. And then when I saw this and I started thinking about it, well, that makes sense as to why this spring hanger was back farther, because when they went to go put this together, obviously this leg, seeing how they moved this back 1 inch, because this is supposed to be 29.5 and it's not, it's 29, and then this one's 30. They shoved it back that way so that this leg would clear, because if they hadn't moved it, it would be hitting right there. So what I need to do, and it sucks at this point in the project, because right now I should be just putting stuff together. I mean, I'm ready to notch these out for the changes I made, and I should be going do that real quick and start with flooring, putting the decking on. And it's just the fact that it's just sloppy craftsmanship. Look how far off that is compared to this one. I mean, it's just completely, not even, I mean, close. I can't believe, well, I can believe I missed it. I should have checked every single cross member to be sure it was the same, and I didn't. And it, you know, now it's costing me. So what I think they should have done is put a cross member like they did up here. The front leaf spring hanger, they put a cross member. They should have done the same thing back here. Turn that cross member backwards and let it back up that hanger, and then take the here and just go with a piece of C-channel laid in a U fashion underneath there and used, or up against it, either or, that hanger. But use that to stiffen up that hanger as well, and then span this part instead of having these ones in here, because having these in here means that you're susceptible to hitting your leaf springs or your axles, and I think that's a horrible design. So I can take away from this that building or doing this trailer project has taught me an awful lot, that if I ever want to build my own trailer, I don't think there's much better way to learn how to build something than to go behind somebody and see everything that was wrong and didn't work, so you could make it easier to make it work better for you. I don't know. Food for thought, but it sucks at this point of the project, and here I am. I'm back to, you know, cut, grind, and weld. It sucks. It's aggravating. Just aggravating. But what are you going to do? I can't leave it like it is. I can't risk ruining an axle for something that you know, I can fix right now, which is the way it should have been done. So that means I have to cut these loose on both sides. I have to take the wheels back off. I have to drop the axles back down. I have to grind this weld out. I got to grind the weld out on the back. Thankfully, there's no welds going horizontal, you know, 90 degrees to the main frame. So I guess I'll just start cutting that out and decide if I'm going to make the changes like I want to. It's so sad. It just, so many times in this project I've wanted to just stop, put it together, and sell it because I was so unhappy with what was done. Frustrating.
Did you know I'm recording you?
Huh?
Did you know I'm recording you? I didn't think.
sing for you all the time, lady.
I know, for me, but not everyone else. They're not that blessed to hear you like I am.
If I didn't want to ruin my paint, I should have found this problem earlier. Okay, gonna do the outside now. I can live with that. We got busy working and didn't even think to grab the camera. So we cut that loose, and I shortened up these braces here. I took a 1/2 inch out and moved the entire cross member to where it's parallel and same distance everywhere, so it's all accurate like it should be. And then we use those pieces of 1/2 inch, there's half rounds from that drive shaft. I cut them out and then weld them back in. So the way I got it measured, as it sits right now, the equalizer will bottom out before the axle hits my relief right there, that half round. And then also, I don't know if you can see this or not. Yeah, you see that. You see how the tires are leaning out at the front? So as you load this trailer, it's going to, the camber is going to come out of that axle. It's going to start to flatten out, and these tires will straighten out, so this will come down some. So we should be just fine there. I'm just waiting on the paint to dry so I can give it its last coat, and then we are ready to put a wood deck on finally. Well, it certainly looks smaller on the ground than it did up in the air. That's for sure. Oh, tomorrow we start decking.